My name is John. My born name is Johnny, right? Johnny Wyche. Johnny Mario Wyche. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1942, September 8th, 1942. And I've been enjoying my life ever since. Not that life was easy all the time, but that's another story.
What group did you sing with?
I sang with a group for close to 9 years called the C-Quins. And when I had when the name came to me, I thought of sequins because they sparkle. And but I didn't want to spell it with an S. So I spelled it capital C hyphen Q U I double N S.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I guess a little bit before you started your group, what kind of got you into the music?
Well, there was a time in my life, you know, as a child, I was more on the athletic side. And one of my brothers, who was a vocalist, had a group called the C-Quins. And they would rehearse at my mother's house all the time. They were teenagers. I was like 13 years old. And they were like 17, 18. And I just heard these harmonies one day, and I've heard them for years, but it just struck me that day, and I decided at that time, because back then, there wasn't no tape players and the technology that we have now, so you'd have to sit on the record player, and if you're learning a song, you'd have to learn it, play a few bars, and then you go back and you go back. So that's what I would do. That's how I would spend my days after school.
And what year around was this?
Well, I was born in 1942. So at 13, at 13, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, like what age did you hear those harmonies for the first time?
I was 13.
Yeah.
I was 13 years old, and then from that point on, I asked my brother to help me, which he did, with the harmonies, and I got some. If he would do that, he said, of course. And I got my best friends, Jody Benson, Tommy Henderson, and James Sullivan, and we were religious. I mean, seriously, like every day. It would have to be something major, whether death. It had to be something major to keep us from rehearse. But we would rehearse in my mother's house downstairs and my mother and father's house for 4 hours a day.
Wow.
Every day.
And you said that you were pretty close with the G-Clefs, right?
Oh yeah. Well, one of the G-Clefs was my brother Carl's best friend. They all knew each other because they all grew up together. Although the G-Clefs were from New Bedford, which is Cape area of Massachusetts, but they moved from the Cape to the Boston, and they all grew up together. So they had that group, the C-Quins, and Arnold was one of the G-Clefs brothers. The name of the group, the family name was Scott. So Arnold Scott, Teddy Scott, Chris Scott, Joe, and Raymond. I can't remember Raymond's last name, but Raymond was a little guy. He was funny, wonderful. You know, they all were, you know, very nice people. But so that's where that was my backup. That was my foundation for the harmonies, for the C-Quins.
Perfect. So you now have this group. How did you decide on those three other guys? Just because they were good friends with them?
Good friends of mine, and I knew they could sing.
Perfect. And you guys met in high school, I'm guessing, or?
Yeah, actually, junior high.
What school was that?
Well, and I lived in Roxbury, so I went to Lewis Junior High. And that's where I went to school. Jody went to school in Cambridge. Tommy went to school in West Medford. And Sully and I, actually Sully's mother's house was right next to the school, to the junior high, you know. They call that middle school now.
Yeah. So you have the name the C-Quins. Do you have a name before the C-Quins, or is it always just the C-Quins?
When we were ready to work, that's when the name came.
Oh, perfect. So I guess before you guys started working, what groups influenced you the most? Like, how did you get those vocals? Like, who did you base your vocals upon? On? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, the Dells, the Flamingos, the Crows, the Little Anthony Imperials, Dramatics. You know, those groups that are around, they were older than us at that time.
Perfect. And when you guys started singing, did you guys have any original stuff you were working on, or was it mainly just cover stuff?
We were just working on cover stuff, but as teenagers, we did a lot of, our harmonies were just so tight, you know, when we were 16, 17 years old. We used to do some jazz tunes as well. We would do, but mainly we were, you know, on the, what we call R&B, you know, Dells, Midnighters, names will come to me as we go along, but that time there was just so much happening in all the cities around the country. Like when I watched the Temptations when that came out, it was the same thing. It was just in Boston, but the whole dynamic is the same, you know. And that's how we all learned. We were all young star seeds who was really in tune to the vibration and the spirit of music. We didn't look at it like that. It was just something we loved, you know. But the music is a frequency, and we were all in that realm at the same time.
Wow. So you guys are starting this group. You guys are rehearsing. How long after you guys formed did you guys start doing shows?
I would say 2 years, 8 months probably of rehearsal, and then we decided we're going to start doing some gigs. We started off doing, you know, high school stuff and talent shows and dances and things like that, you know. And then of course I used to work at Skippy White's record store on Washington Street in Boston. And he had a record store that was iconic, even at that time. He was huge. And plus, he was a DJ on WILD radio station in Boston, which was the top R&B station. And his record shop was right next to Basin Street South, which was a nightclub that had all. I've seen Diana. Oh man, what's her name? Anyway, these names will come to me. But famous artists, and that's where I met one of the lead singers for the Flamingos, Tommy Hunt. Okay, he had left the group at that time, but he was like really one of my mentors, vocally as well. You know, so that was the era we were in, because everything is not like everything is spread, but everything was very close knit. All the groups in Boston, the Majestics, the Altiers, all the different groups. Everybody, we weren't competition with each other. We all supported each other. It was just awesome, man. Yeah. We would do shows together, and everyone had their own style, their own niche.
So you guys finally get these gigs going. How was that experience?
Let me finish that. I'm sorry. I'm going to go off track sometime, for sure. But what we did was go to schools. We advertised for bar mitzvahs through Skippy White, and private gigs, and that's what we did. We did a lot of graduations, and before we got into the club circuit, because we were teenagers, so we couldn't. We couldn't do the major clubs. Although Basin Street South, they gave us a shot, You know what I mean? Because we were so popular in the neighborhood, you know. But we were so nervous, man. We blew that one, but we came back later, you know. But.
So you guys are, starting to do these gigs. Did you guys have uniforms at this point?
Oh yeah, we were clean, man. Oh, absolutely. We had some. It all depended. Sometimes we wore tux, sometimes we wore, just really nice suits. Sometimes we had different suits same suits with different colors, you know, white shoes, sunglasses, all the stuff, man. It was just a fun time.
Perfect. And while you're doing these gigs, there's the difference of groups that just used to just stand around the mic and sing, and then you had the groups that did all these crazy dance routines. What would you guys do when you sang?
Well, back then, we would have sometimes we did some gigs. We had one mic, and whoever's singing the lead, if it was me, the other three would be around, and we'd do the harmonies in the mouth with choreography. But it was tight; you couldn't spread. And then we worked like what they called the chicken circuit. Some of them was as big as this room, and then as we progressed, we did larger rooms, but usually it was just a 2-mic setup, so everyone was around that one mic, and it was actually the Temptations. Actually, David Ruffin of the Temptations, he's the one that came up with the multi-mic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never met him, but I met Eddie Kendricks in New Jersey, on the wharf. So he was phenomenal too. But that's another story.
Yeah. So you guys are singing, doing all these gigs. How did you guys end up getting that recording contract with Ditto?
Ditto is Skippy White. Ditto is Skippy White. I'm forgetting names right now. Jack Sager. He ended up. He was Skippy White's partner, but he ended up going into the record distribution business. But so those were the three guys, and Bruce Patch, and Teddy Scott from the G-Clefs. Okay, that was the group that put this together because they wanted us to have a recording. So, it was Skippy White, Jack Sager, it was Bruce Patch, and Teddy Scott, wow. Member of the G-Clefs.
So that's how it all came to be.
Right.
You guys just went in and let's make a record.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we rehearsed it. I mean, they gave us the music. We rehearsed the vocals. Then we sat with the piano player, because I wasn't playing piano then. And he broke down all the chords. And then the guitar player, they put the rhythm section together. And they did the music, and we rehearsed the music prior to going to the studio for about 2.5 weeks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that there was going to be a string section on the...
Oh yeah, we knew the whole production.
Wow.
We knew the whole production.
So you guys are rehearsing these 2 songs, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
2 songs. And the day before comes, and you said you had a cold.
Right. Right.
How was that experience?
I actually was coughing in the studio. I had to get down underneath, behind the mic, and cough a couple of times.
How was that experience walking into that recording studio for the first time?
Indescribable, phenomenal. I mean, again, the energy's coming again from that time, but it was like being in heaven. You had symphony players in the studio, symphony string players, symphony Tiffany drums, I can't remember who the drummer was, the rhythm section, but they were just spectacular, and it was just an experience that I'll never ever forget in my life.
That's so cool. And I guess, do you remember how the studio was set up for you guys? Was it like rhythm over here, strings over there, and then you guys in the middle of all of it?
No, we was in a booth.
Okay.
They were in the main section, but we were in a booth.
Perfect, yeah.
You know, and we had headphones on and everything, and then we, you know, sang with the band. You know.
Do you remember how many takes you guys did of each song?
I would say, I can't be exact because I really don't remember, but I would say at least 4 takes. But it wasn't a lot. It wasn't. We weren't in there for a long time because we knew our parts, and it was just tweaking things, tweaking the drums, tweaking our voices, and you know, if someone hiccups or something like that. But minor things like that. But it was really a smooth recording.
It's remarkable that you had a cold during that, because you sound flawless on the record.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But, you know, that was my passion. And it still is. I mean, to this day, it's my passion.
Was that, just quickly to the studio itself, was it in Boston, the studio?
Yeah, the studio was on Boylston Street in Boston. And I'll get all that information for you, too. Okay. Yeah, it was on Boylston Street. It was, we was in a booth, and the room was twice as wide as my living room here, okay? And probably the same length, you know, but it was all sounded. They had the soundproofing in there and everything. And it was just a phenomenal experience. You know.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think recording in a studio, because you have to, you know, you can't move and you can't, you know, you can't do the things you would normally do on stage. So you have to project your voice so that people will get that feeling, but you can't do it, you know what I mean? So it was a wonderful experience. You know what I mean? And I myself recorded after that. When I left the group, I did some recording in Florida, but it was nothing that ever went anywhere. You know, but the experience is that's why I envy these young brothers and sisters now that can, you know, take your phone and just. But there's. But again, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, that was a whole different vibe.
Oh, definitely.
Whole different vibe, you know, and the songs we sang, the cover tunes we sang, were songs that we could relate to, and it was an emotional. I never sang any song that didn't touch my heart.
I guess out of all those songs, do you remember which one was your favorite singing?
Oh, man. There's so many of them. Ooh, Baby Babies, Smokey Robinson. We met when we were 18 years old. When they came in with the Motown Review at the Strand Theater in Boston. You know, and he was a cool dude, too. Still is.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, it's you know, this era. I'm really honored and blessed to be here at my age, you know, and to be able to experience this new world. You know, it's magnificent. But back then, it was like night and day. I'm like on 2 different planets, you know, but I love both of them. But that's my root right there.
Yeah. So I guess quickly going back to your guys' kind of structure, you were the natural lead singer, I'm guessing, of the group?
Yes, I did most of the leads. Johnny did a few tunes, Sully did a tune or 2, and Tommy, I think Tommy might have done 1 or 2 songs on, you know, but we all sang lead.
What was their vocal parts? The guys in the back?
The vocal parts?
Yeah, like what like part.
Oh, okay. You mean like vocal structure?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was a first tenor. I could sing all the parts, quite frankly, but I was mainly a tenor voice, and plus I had a falsetto at that time, you know. And Jody was baritone, Sully was second tenor, and Tommy was bass.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you guys did this recording session.
Hmm.
How soon after the session did the record come out?
I would say, well, because Skippy was a DJ. I mean, we got instant play. We got instant play in Boston, and then they got the record into New York and Philly, and Chicago. Matter of fact, what's his name? What's the recording company in Chicago?
Chess Records.
Chess Records bought it and took the label. We was on that label. We went to Chess. Okay, we didn't do the recording there, but they wanted that song. And I don't know what the negotiation was because, you know, I was a young guy. I didn't care about it. You know what I mean? But so then we started doing gigs outside the city, you know, with the hit. We even did it. Where did we go? I think it might have been New Hampshire or Maine, somewhere like that. We went for a gig. And so we get there, we get to the club, we got our stuff and our rhythm section, with the trailer, you know, the whole 9 yards. We get there, in the afternoon, we knock on the door. And the owner of the club comes out, he opens the door, he said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, we're the C-Quins, we're here for the gig tonight. He said, you're the C-Quins? I said, yeah, we're the C-Quins. You're not the C-Quins. He said, the C-Quins are women. There was a group called the C-Quins, right? I said, well, have you heard us sing? Have you heard the record, My Only Love? He said, yes, I have it. I said, do they sound like women to you? He said, sing the song to me right now, right here at the door. So we did. You are, you know, or Jody, nom nini nom ni nom nom ni ni ni. We went up the scale and sang the song. He said, you really are the C-Quins. I said, yeah. You know, so, and there was many other, you know, but we had many other instances like that, but nothing really bad, no racism, we never ran into that.
Perfect, yeah.
You know, because we weren't down south here, you know, but it was a fun time. It was really, those 8 years were phenomenal.
So I guess quickly going back to the record comes out, were you guys known as local celebrities after it came out?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's why even the clubs, they would let us in and as teenagers. You know, we couldn't drink and nothing like that, but we could come in and see the artists.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we did a lot of bar mitzvahs. We did a lot of, you know, just local stuff, local talent shows and things like that, like I said earlier.
Perfect. And, I blinked, what was I going to say? Oh, I guess, when the record came out, how old were you guys? You guys were all like 18, 17 around that time?
Yes, 17, 18.
And you guys were in high school then?
Yes.
Did you guys,
coming out of high school.
Coming out, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where did you guys go to high school?
Well, I went to Roxbury Memorial. I think Jody was in Cambridge. I can't remember the name of that school was. It's still there, but I can't remember all their names, you know.
Perfect. So you guys, you know.
And I studied 2 years at New England Conservatory after we came off the road and everything.
So you guys, you have this record, and it keeps growing and growing. You know, Chess picks it up.
Mm-hmm.
What other shows do you guys do outside of the state? besides that New Hampshire story?
Oh, we did, like I said, we did 2 major shows with James Brown was the headliner in Massachusetts. We did shows with like the Contours, like I said, and, you know, different groups of that era, you know, but they were the headliners. We were just on the bill, you know. And back then you had like 12, 13, 14 groups. And only the headliner did all their music. Okay, but you'd have, like we did My Only Love, You've Been Crying. Okay, and back then also, Dee Dee and, oh, what was her husband's name? Huge orchestras, man. It wasn't like, I'm talking about 21-piece orchestras who were backing us up.
Wow.
Matter of fact, our first gig on a big show like that, we rehearsed with the band. My Only Love was at that it was the key of C, no, C minor, C sharp. It was something like that. I think it might have been C sharp. But anyway, so when we did the rehearsal with the band, we were cool because, you know, there was no audience, you know, and it was just us and the band and all the other artists waiting, you know, so we did it. And so when we came out, the piano player gave a note, ding, for Johnny, right? So let's say it's bling, here, so bling, he went to a whole different key. Thank God I had that tenor, you know what I mean? Because that would have been a disaster. But he went up like 2 keys.
Wow.
Right? And so the musical director is hollering out, he changed the key. But they picked it. By the time we got finished with the scale, they were on.
Wow.
Those are, you know, they saved us. You
And
know,
that was at a show in
that was in Boston.
Boston.
Yeah.
How was working with like some of those giants of the industry, like James Brown or the Contours? Did you guys have any funny interactions backstage with those guys, or?
No, not with James Brown, because James Brown always had his own separate place. I saw him coming out to go on stage, you know, with all the band members went first, but I was in the dressing room with Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions. Jerry Butler, they had split up. They were on the bill. The Chantels were on that show. Who else was there? I'd have to think about it, but those are the type of people I was like almost shoulder to shoulder with.
Wow.
You know, and so in those type of gigs, everyone's into their own space, you know what I mean? So it's not like you're hanging out with everybody, but everyone's shaking each other's hands out. And we were like, whoa, there's Jerry Butler, this. You know, we were just like, you know, even when I moved to Florida many years later, I was living in Miami, and the Dells were in, was it Tampa? No, it wasn't. No, it was. Oh man, forgive me, man. I have memory lapses. Plus, I'm a little nervous. But I went to see them, right? And I got there like 2 hours early. So I'm sitting in the club, and I had some food. And at this time, I'm like in my 30s, right? And here they come, 3 of them. You know, they were just coming to have some dinner, you know, and I'm like in heaven, right? And I was saying, I mean, the Dells, man, I mean, it was like crazy, you know, and so they were sitting like from here to the window over there, just talking, you know. So finally I got the courage, and I stood up and I walked over. I said, excuse me. I said, I told him my name, okay? I told him who my group was, and I said, I just want to thank you for inspiring myself and my teenage friends that, you know, we put this group together with, and we did a lot of your music, which we did, you know, and just thank you. And they said, thank you so much. I mean, they were just so cool, you know what I mean? And, you know, there's just so many wonderful experiences, you know, to think back on.
That's great. So you guys have this record out.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why you guys didn't record? You said you did record again, right?
Yes, we did some recording, but nothing was released.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And was it shortly after that first session, or a couple months, or a year? Or?
Probably about 2 years. And actually, like I said, Jack Sager, who used to work with Skippy White, and he went on to, and I also worked for him because he would sell records to the record stores. So I started working for Jack, and excuse me, and a representative of Motown came in. He was in town. He was an Italian guy. I never forget him. He, you know, like right out of the movie. You know what I mean? And so Jack said, introduced me to him, and he said, he said, they have a group called the C-Quins. You should hear him before you go back. So he said, okay, set something up here. So we put the rhythm section together, and we did a whole gig for him. And he absolutely loved us. Now, keep in mind, this was pre-Eddie Kendricks. Okay, Temptations weren't, you know, and so this guy was flabbergasted, right? He said, I'm bringing this back. I want to bring this back to Motown. And he did. He contacted Jack. He said, I'm going to go in and talk with Berry Gordy. And he said, but I have all the information, and I want to push this. I want to push this group. He said, I love them. Like, you coming to me now? That's how this guy was. You know, and I can't remember his name. And then a few weeks later, Jack tells Skippy that he got fired from Motown. Yeah, something happened with him in Motown. And
well, you guys could have recorded for Motown.
yeah, absolutely. But you know, I know now that life is what life is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Our journey is the journey that we came here to go on, you know. But that was a time in my life that I'll never, ever, ever forget. But as a single artist, you know, I went on and I traveled and I did a lot of gigs off of that experience.
I guess you based those experiences to help you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That taught me how to work with big bands. And then after that, as a single artist, you know, I had, my last band was called Flavor, P-H-L-A-V-A. That was tenor sax, trumpet, trombone, keys, congas, traps, piano. Okay, and all the horn players sang background vocals, and so we did lots of gigs. I traveled a lot with that.
And that was kind of the late 60s, I'm guessing?
60s, 70s, 80s, and into the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess before you became a single artist, do you remember that session you did with the unreleased songs? Was it originals or was it like cover tunes?
Those were originals. Those were originals. I can't remember who the writers were, but.
Do you remember the name of the songs?
Not really. Yeah. You know, I'd have to go into my archive.
Yeah.
Because you know, I know we did. But again, Skippy, you know, I can upgrade all this because Skippy has all that information. You know, I haven't thought about this for many, many years. You know, but Skippy has a lot of that information that I can forward to you, and we can even do a Zoom thing if needed. Perfect, yeah. You know, because I'd like for you to meet him too, because he's an icon.
That'd be great, yeah.
I mean, a serious icon. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No problem, yeah. And you mentioned you had photos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys? And you said you had studio shots.
No, we took a shot. We did a special shot photo shoot for the record, okay. And like I said, I can see it because I know I'm looking up like this. we're all looking up at the sky, like sort of. But that was the photo shot we took just so we'd have some promo for the record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I know Skippy has that, or someone has it, Jotty has it, someone has it.
Perfect. So you said you were together for like almost 9 years, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was the eventual reason you guys broke up?
Well, you know, they want to do different things that I want to do. You know, and some of it was business, some of it was we got older, and you know, they want to go in different directions, and you know, I said, well, you know, I'm going to pass on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said because I saw myself in another realm. You know, and it was in the beginning, as a solo artist, I missed those background vocals, and that's what got me into. When I said, when I'm gonna put a band together that people can sing and play, you know, at the same time, and that's what I did. That's why I named my last band Flavor.
Mm-hmm. Just had a little bit of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody had a solo. Everybody had a, you know, everyone could shine.
So you guys, I'm guessing, broke up around the mid-'60s, around that time?
Oh no, it was after that. Yeah, it was more like in the 70s, like 71, 72,
Okay, yeah.
somewhere in there.
So you guys break up. Did you guys ever get back together as like for fun to sing back together?
Oh, we're still friends.
Yeah.
We're still friends. You know, Jimmy passed away about 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago. But Johnny's still alive, Tommy's still alive, and I'm still alive.
Do you guys ever do any revival shows in like the 70s, 80s, or 90s as the C-Quins, or?
No, we didn't.
So I guess, do you have any other things you wanted to add about your experience singing with the C-Quins? Like any stories you might have forgot to mention, or details, or?
Yeah, we rehearsed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And our parents were so awesome because we could rehearse at my mother's house, my mother and father's house, and we had a whole 3-family house. I mean, fireplaces on every floor, and the bottom floor was empty, so that's where we would rehearse. And like I said, we rehearsed for close to 3 years before we were comfortable with what we were doing.
Had to be perfect.
Oh yeah, because back then, you know, you couldn't fake the funk. You couldn't, you know, your vocals had to be what they're supposed to be. And I'm a Virgo, so I'm a perfectionist. You know, I like things to be the way they're supposed to be. And but we rehearsed a lot. We laughed a lot. We were very close. We were very close as teenagers. And even through our 20s, we were very, very close. And we always had respect for each other. And but we had different paths as we got older, you know. But we had lots of fun, just like any teenager at a party. That's how we were, you know. And I loved them, they loved me, you know, and everything was just, you know, wonderful. I haven't talked to Tommy in years, but he's still there in Boston, in Medford. No, as a matter of fact, he moved to California. He's in California. Jotty and I talk once in a while. Matter of fact, I'm going to call Jotty probably in the next few hours, you know what I mean? Because I know he has some information too. And I'm going to call Skippy today too and let him know I'm coming in to set up an appointment with him. So like I said, I'll have some more information.
That'd be great. So I guess one other thing I wanted to ask was, when the record came out and started getting big, what was your parents' reactions to hearing the record on the radio for the first time?
They loved it. I mean, I was in the barber shop when I first heard it. We knew it was coming out, but we didn't know when. And here, and like I said, Skippy was on WILD. That was the main station, and I'm sitting in the barber chair, and the song comes on, man, and the barber shop's going crazy. That's you, that's you. You know what I mean? And my barber, and all the barbers in the shop, and that was like heaven. But my parents, they were so proud of me. But they allowed me the space to do that.
Exactly.
So I was always grateful for them. But no, that was, oh man, you're bringing some feelings back to me that, that just like it was yesterday. Because as I'm talking, I'm seeing it in my mind. I'm seeing myself in the barber chair. I'm seeing myself, my parents, like here, they have a radio station called, it's 90.3. And on Sunday mornings, they have jazz from the 20s, 30s, 40s, right? And when one of my students, Ted, told me about the radio station, and it's like this conversation, I'm going back, I'm in my mother and father's house right now, and I'm using that radio station because when it first came on, like I said, I leave my radio on, even if I turn it off in my bedroom because I have a stereo in there too. And I'm listening, and I was like in my mother and father's house running up and down the stairs, 5 years old, 6 years old, because that's how the music that they listened to at that time.
So always surrounded by that music.
Always. My mother was a pianist, like I said, and a vocalist. My father had a beautiful baritone voice, and he would sing around the house, but he worked like 10 hours a day, But so the music, my family, one of my sisters she had a phenomenal voice. Her name was Mercedes after my mother, and she could sing, my friend. I mean, she could sing. Like Diana Ross and that type of stuff. And so I said to her, why don't you come do some shows with us? She said, oh no, I could never do that in front of people. I said, but you have a beautiful voice. You will get over it, you know what I mean? Just, She said no, she never did. But she was phenomenal. So we had it in our genes, in our bloodline.
Very musical family.
Very musical family. And we were very close too.
Is there anything else you would like to say? Or?
Yeah, I'd like to say to whoever hears this, follow your passion. Love yourself and love whatever it is that you want to do. Do not get caught in time lapses. We think that something's being taken away from us, but actually the universe is shifting you to keep you in time. It may feel bad because you thought it was going this way, but it's going this way. Okay, don't get caught in that. Okay, trust yourself in all that you think of yourself, and make love of yourself and those that are around you and come into your life the basis of your life, and you will find that everything you think of that's good for yourself and good for humanity will brighten your life like you would not believe. And I'm sitting here at 82. September 8th, I'll be 83. And I do everything I did when I was 17, 18 years old in terms of movement and things of that nature. But just stay true to yourself, and love your family, and love your friends, and only allow yourself to be around people that love you.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.